So about 3 months ago, right when the NBA season started, I made a video about Josh Giddey, and I relayed the message of OKC fans calling him the 6'9" Steve Nash. Now, while there's a couple OKC fans that did agree with me in that comment section, there's a couple people that didn't share the same sentiments, and I can understand where they're coming from. You look at the raw numbers and you say guys shooting 27% from 3, and all he's doing is averaging a couple assists per game, and you say, where is the 6'9" Steve Nash? Where do you see that potential in this guy? So it's hard to sell somebody on somebody that has a lot of spots in their game that need to be worked on, but has such an insane feel for just the game of basketball on the court. Josh Giddey this season has proven a lot of those doubters wrong. Not only did Josh Giddey increase his statistical numbers, he's not putting up what people would consider empty stats. Right now, he's helping an OKC team who was pegged at 23 wins to begin the season, destroy that mark, and we're only halfway through the season at this point, with OKC right outside of the playoff race, with just being a game behind the 6th seed. So in just his second season, he's already making this big of an impact on an OKC Thunder team that already has a stud in SGA and what looks like the perfect guy to fill in the roles that they need best in Chet Holmgren coming back next season. So right now, Josh Giddey on this NBA season is averaging 16 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 0.7 steals on 48% shooting and 33% from 3. These is a big jump from his numbers last season at 12.5 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 6.4 assists on 41% shooting and 26% from 3. His numbers has jumped all across the board while he's still averaging even less minutes than the year before, and his usage rating is only a little bit higher than it was a season before. But in the first 20 games of the season, Josh Giddey really had a couple people ready to jump ship. He was only averaging 14.4 points, 7.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists on 45% shooting and 25% from 3. Somebody that didn't have a lot of scoring gravity but had such a nice feel for the game. The people are already pegging OKC's increase to Shai Alexander jumping into that superstar role, and was already asking where Josh Giddey would be traded to find a suitable 2 next to Shai Alexander. But Josh Giddey in the last 20 games of this season really let people know that he's here to stay and he's the perfect point guard for this team. Since the last 20 games, he has been averaging 18 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 6 assists on 50% shooting and 41% from 3. Now, I don't expect those 3-point numbers to last the entire season, but it did show a nice increase in his game, and it shows that he's definitely been working on those areas, and it's showing on the court. So now you give Josh Giddey a viable jump shot, somebody that already has such a nice feel for the game, and the only reason he doesn't impact it more is because people don't respect his jump shot. Now when people don't respect it, he hits them, and if they play him a little bit tighter, he can get to the paint way easier with a money floater, be able to pass out to some shooters. This team is on its way to being one of the best in the NBA with him at the helm running it as the point guard, which is why, again, I and a couple OKC fans coined him the 6'9" Steve Nash. But it's also important to note just how much he has diversified his scoring profile. Last season, he was only shooting 24.5% on catch and shoot threes. This season, he's all the way up to 35% on the season, and he's shooting 42% in just the past 20 games. In the restricted area and finishing at the rim, he's only shooting 57%, and this season he's shooting 63%, and he's shooting 64% in the last 20 games. For mid-range, last season it was 35%, this season it's another 35%, but he's shooting 45% in the last 20 games. The scoring profile is increasing all over the court, and as OKC's young players develop and they get a little bit better and they add more shooters around him, this team is going to be so dangerous with just his passing vision alone. And that's another part of this game we like to talk about, just the sheer amounts of playmaking he can generate by himself. This was the part of his game that people were already ready to sell you on when it comes to Josh Giddey. You can already see just the way he passes the ball, the feel for the game. Even when people weren't overplaying him, he would make some skip passes or hit guys that you didn't even think were even open at times last season. And as you can see, in almost every single playmaking criteria except for scoring gravity, which he's still working from, he's a A1 playmaker in the NBA. And just by watching him alone, the raw eye test tells you that. And while some people may feel like he's defensive negative, that is actually not the case. He is actually one of the bigger defensive positives on this roster right now. And while he's an athletic and he's into making some crazy chase down blocks, Josh Giddey has a nice feel for the defensive side of the ball. He's long, he's 6'9", yet he guards mostly guards. He's able to use a larger frame and bigger body to body up guards and knock them off their line of drive so they don't get to rim easy. He knows how to move his feet, he knows how to stay up straight, and he has very nice IQ to get his hand involved in the passing lanes, and he does a really good job of guarding the pick and roll sometimes. He may get bullied by bigger players like centers if he gets switched onto them, but that's any single guard. Even if you're 6'9", he's still a guard at heart, and he's going to get bullied by big guys. But defensively, he's not the negative that people want to make you seem like he is, especially with OKC now being a top 10 defensive team in the NBA. They aren't doing that because they have a defensive negative at the point guard position. He's actually been a very good point of attack defender this season. And at the end of the day, it is his second season, and he is still only years old. He can't even buy a drink by himself yet. Josh Giddey has been improving his game all over the court this season, and he is just getting better and better. And I can't wait to see just how good he gets as the season goes on. I can't wait to see if OKC makes it in the NBA playoffs and see what he can do when the lights are all bright on him. OKC finally got their first, I think, nationally televised game after years and years of not having one. And they did pretty well. They gave the Miami Heat some trouble, even though they eventually lost the game. But they really showcased just how good this young core is and just how much better they can get over the next couple years as they move guys in the draft and try to, really put shooters around Shea and Josh Giddey to really maximize their effectiveness as playmakers and scorers. And not to mention all those second-year guys that people like to compare him to, like the Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, and Cade Cunninghams. He's been playing the best out of all four of them this season. But that's because Cade's been injured, but nobody cares about that. But it's really nice to see Josh Giddey really showcase and prove all his doubters wrong, and this OKC Thunder team really already showing that they're turning the corner into playoff contention so early into their rebuild. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think Josh Giddey is the 6'9" Steve Nash? How far do you think the OKC Thunder can go this year? And where do you see his trajectory of his career, lining up? It's been great this season, and I'd love to see what you guys say in the comments. With that being said, this is FLB. That's my time, and I'm out.